In this video, I will be walking through the MySQL Workbench interface. As you can see, we are in the MySQL Connections tab for MySQL Workbench. There are two other tabs that are present that we can look at, but we are not really interested in or going to be working with. The first one is the Data Modeling tab, or that is the Data Models tab, and it is the set of boxes that is related by lines. We're not going to be working on this. And then there is this other tab that allows for data migration, which we are also not interested in and not going to be working with. We're going to be working with the MySQL Connections tab. Within the MySQL Connections tab, we see the option of 3 different connections. These 3 different connections show up for me as I have multiple database servers that I connect to with multiple different accounts. You might have only one MySQL connection present, depending on your use case scenario. The first thing that we're going to do is we are going to click on that connection that we are going to connect to the database server with. In this case, I'm going to connect with database server connection using the MIST_student1 account, connecting to the coderus.terry.uga.edu server. Clicking on that. While I don't get prompted for a password because I might have saved the password, you might in fact get prompted for a password. If prompted for a password, please provide the password that you have been provided with. As I have previously used MySQL Workbench, this is the first window I see. You might not in fact see the window as currently presented. More likely, you are going to see something that looks like a little bit like this. So let us talk about the window that you are seeing. The first thing you should notice is that on the left-hand side, we have these 2 panes. We have a pane up top over here that displays either the administration status or the schemas that are available. And below that, we have this other pane that describes the object information or session-related information. When we click on the session-related information tab, we see that it basically tells us information about the connection, right? So I have details about the connection, the server I've connected to, the account I've connected with, the product or the server that I'm connecting to, and the version of the connector. This is not very interesting, so we're typically not going to be concerned about the session information. We might be concerned about the object information. Right now, as it says, we have no object selected. To the right of this pane, we have the query window. This white space here is where we shall be writing the queries associated with SQL. Once we write these queries, we can actually save them. We can save them by clicking on this icon right here that represents a floppy disk. A floppy disk, for those of y'all that might not have experience with this, is an old way of saving information that is present on computers. In this case, this just represents a save icon. If you are familiar with keyboard shortcuts, you can also hit Control S or Command S depending on whether you're on a Windows or a Mac machine. You can also go to the File menu and click on Save Script. This will allow you to save your script, your SQL script that you write in this query window anywhere on your computer. Please note that any of the SQL queries that you write are never saved on the server. They are always saved locally on the machine based on your saving of it using either this icon or a shortcut or using the file menu. Under this query window, we have the action output, or a window that indicates whether our queries have run successfully or not. If your queries aren't running successfully, you will see a lot of red X's. If your queries are running successfully, you will see a lot of green check marks. To the right of this, we have something called context help and snippets. Um, these are not going to be used by us, and so we might actually want to get rid of context help and snippets because these are additional options that allow us to kind of work with MySQL Workbench in an easier way. In this case, we don't really have need of these, and so I'm going to make this right-hand side pane disappear by clicking the right-hand side pane icon over here. As we can see, it is currently highlighted in blue, and if I click on it, it goes to gray and the right-hand side pane disappears. I can do that for the bottom pane and the left-hand side pane as well, but in this case, I'm going to leave them active as these are panes that I'm actually interested in. Coming back to the left-hand side pane, the administration tab associated with this pane is again telling us about information about the server status, any other clients that are connected to the server, and other pieces of information. For our purposes, we are not interested in the administration pane. We are interested in the schemas pane. The schemas pane represents the different databases that are present on this database server Codris that we have access to. Currently, the MIST underscore student1 account has access to 3 databases: classic models, information schema, and text. We will learn about databases and specifics about what happens when we click on these databases or these schemas in future videos. This, very broadly, is a brief overview of the MySQL Workbench interface. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you very much.